Welcome to Learned and Go-Go, the podcast. My name's Sydney. I am your host, and I am also the author of Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Go-Go, How a Preacher's Daughter Pole Danced Her Way to Finding Her True Self. And I am on here for a special episode of Learned in Go-Go, the podcast. But first, if you have not yet gotten your copy of Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Go-Go, How a Preacher's Daughter Pole Danced Her Way to Finding Her True Self, you can get your copy at learnedandgogo.com. So typically, if you have seen my show, you know that I absolutely love getting together with everybody in the comments on Wednesday night. This week, however, is a pre-recorded episode. I am recording this on Sunday. I'm having surgery tomorrow, staying overnight in the hospital Tuesday. So I just assumed that I'm not going to be up for doing a live broadcast on Wednesday, even though I really, really, really want to. And all of you that tune in with me live, I miss you. I'm thinking of you. And if you haven't tuned in live yet, where are you? Why not? 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on my Learned in Go-Go, the podcast, Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'm going to have to probably post this to the streaming platforms a little bit later because I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe I can schedule that too. Technology is cool. So hopping on here because I did not want to miss our weekly gathering, even though we can't do it live. I do have a special guest. I don't want to mess up the camera, but she's down there. My 3-year-old chocolate lab Muffy wanted to be with mommy, so she's with me. It's weirding me out. It's so bright. It's, what is it, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon? It's like freaking me out a little bit. But I'm hopping on here because when I talked to everybody last week, I was asking for some ideas for what to talk about, because when I'm not going back and forth with the people in the comments, it's kind of like, what do I want to talk about that I can talk about singly? So someone suggested that we do the evolution of Sydnee in pictures. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. First, I want to wish everyone a Tatiana. And because we're doing this during the day, I'm drinking coffee and I'm drinking water. So this is my absolute favorite coffee mug. It says, "This is what a published author looks like." And it was a gift from my oldest. So Tatiana, to everybody out there in podcast land, if you are not familiar with Tatiana, that is this show's version of something that was started on the goddamn program on Saturday night. On that program, whenever anybody mentions Thailand, you take a drink. It evolved because of a story in my book into Tatiana on this show. So whenever anyone says Tatiana in the comments, or if I say Tatiana, that means, I've said it so many times I got to do it again. You have to take a drink, take a toke, whatever is your poison. It can be water or coffee, but take a little sippy sip. And good health to all of you out there. I also wanted to share something else we were talking about, and that is books that we like to read. I mentioned that I am rereading the Kim Harrison series, The Hollows. I love that series, and she's put out a few books in the past couple of years that I haven't read yet, and I wanted to restart from the beginning so I remembered what was going on. Love that. But one of the books that was mentioned was Pamela Anderson's. I'm sorry, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Let me shut her off here real quick. Okay. Pamela Anderson's autobiography. So I wanted to share, if you guys are not familiar with an app called Libby. And what Libby is it connects to your library card, and then you can borrow audiobooks. I'm guessing books too, like ebooks. But I like to use it for audiobooks. So I thought, while I'm recovering, I want something light to listen to. I'll get Pamela Anderson's autobiography. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun, but it's not going to be like serial killers or, like stuff that I fall asleep to that stuff though. So that's not a good example for me. It's not going to be like a textbook or something that I have to really, really concentrate on or I'll miss. So I got it for recovery. I have 53 minutes and 29 seconds left in the book because I've been power listening when I take Muffy for a walk. But I wanted to share Libby. It's Libby, and it's a free app. And if you have a library card, you can borrow. And if you have multiple library cards, you can borrow from multiple libraries. I know people who do that too. So I just wanted to share that. And then we will get on to the evolution of Sydnee in pictures. So if you are listening to this on one of the streaming apps, you may want to switch over to YouTube, to the Learned in Go-Go, the podcast Facebook page, or learnedingogo.com. These are on my website as well. I believe the videos are on my website, not just audio. So I'm going to start this with StreamYard was like too many pictures. So you guys got me going down the rabbit hole and I did get way, way too many pictures. But I'm going to start with the prologue to my book. Let me see here because it's a good way to start the evolution of me. Let's see here. I thought I started it different than I did. That's pretty funny. Where is, let's see. That's pretty funny because what I was expecting to read isn't in here. Maybe I need to read my own book again. I talk about this all the time, that when you're writing a book, and in my case, it took me 4 years to write this book, you're so immersed in it. I could have told you pretty much what was on any page. 4 years later, it's kind of like, it's interesting to me how I remember things when I read them, but it's like, oh my gosh, like I totally forgot I shared that story, because there's just so much in this that, like, now that I've been removed from it and not reading it every single day multiple times, it's pretty funny that I was like, oh yeah, I will do my big introduction, and that's not what I was picturing. It starts with, have you ever found yourself in a place where you were staring into the future you knew you were destined to follow, yet you were stuck in the space between scared shitless and super excited to start? Comfort zones are funny things. For most people, standing in front of a room of strangers topless would be far from comfortable. For me, when I was hiding behind the persona that I had created, I was most comfortable in that arena. One night in particular comes to mind. What I thought was, when I started talking about myself, I borrowed from the Golden Girls with, picture it, March 19, or, like picture it, New Jersey, 1975, because I came into this world to an audience. My mom loves to share this story. So when she was in labor with me, I was the only baby going to be born at that point. She was the only woman in labor and delivery. And it happened to be when all of the medical students were going around. So every single one of them had to take her vitals and check the baby and poke her and prop. She's like, if one more person touches me, because being the only patient, they all had to do all the things. And so when I was finally born, everyone just erupted into applause. And I really think that might have created a blueprint in my brain that put me on this journey. So let's start with little baby Syd. That's me and my chunkiness and my big brother. It was awesome. But I was 9'5" when I was born. And my mom also likes to tell the story about how she knew where I was in the nursery because all she'd hear is, oh my God, look at that one. Because like in 1975, babies weren't typically 9'5". So I stuck out in the nursery. And I always looked up to my big brother, even when he was being silly. So I went on, we moved a lot with my dad being a minister. So we lived in actually a couple towns before I started preschool. And then there's my preschool picture. So, oh, and there's my dog. There's her butt. So that was at Jack and Jill Preschool. And this was also about the same time that my family was styling. We could have had our own TV show because look at this. Look at that. There's me and my two brothers, my parents. My dad's hair is fantastic. So is my mom's. I mean, come on. We look like we just walked out of a sitcom. So, very awesome childhood. Sorry, Muffy wanted to leave the room. So, definitely tight family. We all had fun. Like, it was great. We did move around a lot, like I said. And one of the things growing up was, like I never knew that we didn't really have like tons of money because I never, like realized it because my parents filled the house with love. My mom was a seamstress. She made arts and crafts. She would be creative, like make up games for us to play. And she cooked every night and would come up with creative ways to hide the government cheese. Like we didn't know. I loved government cheese, man. When that big 5-pounder of American came, that was like Christmas. I didn't know. But we always had a house full of love and chaos and laughter. So, I absolutely loved growing up in my family that I did. And that's me. And it says 1984. So that would have been 9-year-old me. I think this next picture actually would have been before that. Do you guys, we all have that phase when your baby teeth fall out and your adult teeth come in, but your head didn't catch up yet. You know what I'm talking about? Because in this picture, I am 100% channeling Fire Marshal Bill. Like, look at that. Let me tell you something. That was me. Oh, I know why I started talking about my mom being a seamstress and stuff. So she would actually wear a lot of my outfits that I wore to school, like my dresses and all when I was little. And also to save money, she and my grandmother decided that it would be a good idea to give me a perm. They bought a home perm thing. They thought it was Ogilvy, who used to have the commercials that it would turn itself off after a half an hour, so you could just like put it on and not worry about it. This was not that. So here is me in my super cool handmade vest and my poodle head. Like what is that? That is craziness. So we moved to the town where I consider my hometown because we were there from when I was in 3rd grade till when I was in 10th grade, hence the 1984 picture that was taken. That actually looks like at my grandmother's house now that I'm looking at it, but maybe not because I recognize the furniture. And that was where I became a teenager. I was a really good kid, but I was a terrible teenager. And that was where, like I started to act out a little bit. Here is me in my super cool denim dress. I loved that thing. That thing, like I wore that thing all the time. And then we moved into the years with the poof. Remember the big poof, which I have a calic right here. That's why I like to part my hair here. So the poof year sucked for me because my poof would kind of like separate, but it didn't stop me. I mean, check out that poof and the black hair and the crew shirt with the corded telephone. I wish I knew what year that was. Judging from the shirt, that looks like a Dr. Feelgood shirt. So probably 88, I would guess. That's just a guess. Also back then, jean jackets with embellishments were the thing. So I loved mine. It had roses on it. You can't really see in this picture. Maybe on the lapel you can see a little bit. But that's a little bit more of the redder hair. Somebody should have told me that lipstick was not a choice. But, being a teenager, you try different things. And me and my younger brother were very close. That's my poof fell down in that picture. So I had a really good time hanging out with him and with my friends. I didn't ask them if I could post this picture, hence the smiley faces. But this was the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. And our class got in big trouble for acting up in the hotel. I remember, Tatiana, we had a bunch of our guy friends, like come visit the hotel room, which was a big no-no. And we started playing Truth or Dare. And when I went into the bathroom with this guy, Martin, was right when the teachers came in and busted us. But we weren't the reason why we almost got sent home. Somebody else thought it would be funny to throw a chair through the hotel window. And that's why we almost got sent home. We didn't, though. And we had a lot of fun exploring the nation's capital. That was also the year that we had our cotillion, and my mom made this dress. It was beautiful. It doesn't look like I have a waist because of the bush behind it, but the waist kind of does do this from back then. And the bow on my hip. Loved this dress so much. And I didn't have a date. I asked a couple guys. They said no. So this is me and my friend going. We were going to tell everybody we were the lesbian couple because she didn't have a date either. But we had a really good time. And at the end of the night, they announced the cotillion king and queen. And they said my name, and I honestly thought they were messing with me. So I wouldn't get up, and I told them to shut up. And then, they finally came to the table and dragged me up front because I didn't believe it. I really thought they were messing with me. So I don't know that there's been a cotillion since. I may still be the reigning cotillion queen. Stranger things have happened. So back then, as you could tell by the Motley Crue shirt, and even to this day, I am a huge rocker chick, fan of hair bands. And back in the 80s, we didn't have social media. We didn't have TikTok. So we would entertain ourselves by doing stupid things like wrapping an ace bandage around your head, because why not? But this was my bedroom. You can see the denim jacket with my older brother's character, Mr. X, who's a skull. That's in the bottom corner. I am rocking this really cool lace lamp over here. And that television did not have a remote. But you can see there is a plethora of things on the wall. A lot of them were from the Metal Edge magazine. Loved getting that every month. And let me see, if you look over here, I have the big Skid Row poster here. But then on this wall is a Skid Row silk that I still have hanging in my basement. To this day, it's down there. I wish I still had some of the other posters. They got destroyed and moving over the years. But I ran out of room on the walls and I started putting them on the ceiling as well. I adored all of those bands, still do. And I found when Dave and I were going through some of the bins and boxes and all that we have, trying to downsize a little bit, I found it was like a binder, and in it was a bunch of old Metal Edge magazines, and I was so happy. I used to just enjoy reading up on the bands, and because I wasn't allowed to go to the shows, I'm honestly surprised I was allowed to get Metal Edge magazine, quite honestly. But just reading about them and just fantasizing about being able to go to the shows or meeting them. And now I actually have Facebook connections with a couple of the guys that were on my wall back then, and made sure it's actually them, not somebody pretending to be them, which you get a million of those. And I've had a couple little interactions, and I always think what 14, 15-year-old me would think about just I would have been dead. I would have been on the floor dead, just because I was so boy crazy, and especially hairband guys. Huh. Okay, so what do we have next? Oh, that's my very serious face. That's the back of that jean jacket. So you can see there's a rose applique. Some of these pictures are cut out and put in a photo album, so please excuse the disgustingly gross, dried out glue backing from the photo album. I just took pictures with my phone. I guess at one time I was channeling Debbie Gibson. So there's those rockin' bangs again. It's kind of like Debbie Gibson and Boy George had a child. That's the vibe I'm getting off of that. So that was the Burlington years. I know I have childhood pictures in between somewhere, but this was just like a quickie photo finding mission, and I uploaded like 80 something pictures. So we would have been here for probably 3 weeks worth of shows if I found all of the pictures that I had been looking for. Yeah, so moving from Burlington, I can say where my hometown is, Burlington Township, New Jersey. Shout out. Um, Moving on from there, we moved to a different school, which when you've been with the same group of people from 3rd grade to 10th grade and then are told you have to go somewhere else, like that just ripped my heart out. It destroyed me. I was devastated. But I'm really grateful because I met some really awesome people when we moved to the town where I graduated from. Um, and I tell the story in the book, but let me throw up the banner. So if you want to get a copy of the book, there's learntogogo.com. I shared the story in the book about I went to a private school my junior and senior year, and they didn't have gym class. So you were required to do a sport, and they would allow the school play to count as one, like you had to do two over the course of the year. But then you had to do a sport. Now, back then, I probably smoked pack and a half a day. Had no interest in athletics. I'm not an athletic person. Like if you throw the ball at me, I will try to catch it and probably get smacked right in the forehead. Like I'm not a sporty girl. It's just not my wheelhouse. So I joined the softball team. I was on the team long enough to get the sweatshirt and then just couldn't do the running, like, because I was more interested in Marlboro Reds. So I decided that a good sport for me would be cheerleading because you don't run. So we had these granny sweaters. I've seen pictures of homecoming of my old school, and they have these cute little half top, maybe not half top, but like cute modern tops with like cute little short skirts. We looked like Elizabeth from Saved by the Bell. I mean, seriously, we were in these itchy, smelly sweaters. They were terrible. So, what was always exciting was when we got to wear t shirts instead. I'm not holding a cigarette in that picture. It just looks like I am. Um, that was always so fun. And that skirt is rolled up and it's still that long. I didn't find any pictures from junior year of cheerleading. Um, we had red skirts then because me and my friends in this picture, we were all the cheer captains. So that's why we had the black skirts. And then the rest of the squad had red skirts to differentiate the captains from the rest of the squad. I unfortunately got injured cheering. I broke vertebrae in my back. So senior year, I didn't cheer the whole season. The school would not pay for my medical bills. I lost my captain's pin and got in trouble for not showing up with a broken vertebrae in my back to games. That's the end of that story. But at least I got my gym credits. I also met one of my best friends. She's my sister. Oh my gosh, I just realized what I'm wearing in this picture. Okay, so I have biker shorts on under cow boxer shorts. That was a choice. I love those cow boxers. I do not recognize the shirt, nor do I recognize the sneakers. But this was at her 16th birthday party. Love her, love her, love her. We are still besties to this day. She is amazing. She gave me permission to share her face. So that's why she doesn't get the smiley face over. But there I am smoking in that picture. That's me as a cheerleader. Leather jacket, leather motorcycle jacket over the cheerleader outfit. And we got reprimanded for smoking in our uniform. That was a big no-no, but that's what happened. So then this was our chorus trip to Rehoboth Beach. I don't recognize the stuffed animal that I'm holding, but that was a lot of fun. That was a great trip. And while we were there, me and my friend did the old time photos. So I love it. The Jim Beam and the pistol. And so the other fun part about that was junior prom. So I love that dress. My mom did my hair up in curls, which kind of looks like that, doesn't it? Now that I'm looking at it, my mom channeled her head into my prom night so that we had matching hair. Junior prom was a blast. My date showed up in a Jaguar with a big bow on it. It was a lot of fun. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It was a lot of fun. The other picture that I have that absolutely shows what kind of cheerleader I was is this one, because we had to decorate the locker room for the guys. And so me and a couple of the other cheerleaders, there's some red skirts, decided to pose for a picture because that was the kind of captain leadership I was giving my senior year. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no poofs then. That was a poof-free school. Another thing that I always love to do is go down the shore. And if you ever go down the shore, I don't know if there's arcades across the country that do this too, but you can play skee ball. Skee ball's fantastic. It's in Deadpool. Balls and holes. I love skee ball, but I played skee ball at this one arcade and I broke the machine. You can see here it says help. There's a HEL and then a little P. So rocking the dark brown hair in this stage, but you can kind of see a couple blonde highlights. And in my senior yearbook, because it was a private school, we all got our own page. And one of my friends, under, I think it was like life goals or life ambitions or something like that, she actually put in the yearbook to figure out the actual color of my hair because it just kept changing. And at one point, I had the dark roots and then a selection of browns and reds all the way down to like kind of blondie tips because of all the different coloring I had done. So this is fun to kind of see the evolution, as you said, of my hair here. And this is my friend Jen again. This was on a camping trip for youth group. This was where I have shared on the podcast the story of us finding the trailer and breaking into it and finding the bloody mattress and the knife and running out. That was this trip. And that was like, I remember that and I remember the talent show. Other than that, I don't remember a damn thing from that youth group trip. But, you know, once you find a bloody knife, that kind of knocks out everything else. So senior year prom, I was dating a different guy. And, oh, I didn't cover his face, but I don't think he'll care. So he was a junior at the local public school. And so I went to his prom, which Jen was in his class. This, my friend Jen. So we got to go to prom together. And then she went to my senior prom as a friend of mine's date, you know, and then my boyfriend came to that too. So we got to do like the two prom John. So of course for his prom, I reused the dress because, you know, why not? Why wouldn't I? And I remember vividly going to that prom because my parents had a humongous van and I drove everybody in the van. We were like the friggin' Sweet Pickles bus driving up in this gigantic, I think it was an 11-seater van. It was humongous, but that's what I learned to drive on. So that was a lot of fun. And then he came to my senior prom and I had, you can't see the dress under that, but it was a black short dress. So this is how I roll. The red dress from my junior prom and his junior prom was like a $300 dress that I got from a bridal shop that was closing that I paid $60 for. Loved it. It was all beaded. It's kind of easier to see the beads on the beaded straps in this picture. Did I not wear the sleeves? And nope, I guess I went sleeveless for this one. but in the back it was the beads crisscrossed each other. It was really pretty. And then the black dress I got at the local thrift store for $22 because that's what you should be paying, not thousands of dollars for a friggin' prom dress or even hundreds of dollars. It's just one night. And depending on how your night ends, you might not be able to wear it again. So this was from my senior yearbook, back when I had eyebrows. And then I graduated. Hooray! So my big poofy graduation hair and my friends coming over for my graduation party. It was a lot of fun. They are the same friends that were in the 8th grade photo. So I went to college in Kentucky, and I tell stories about that in my book as well. So one of the things that was fun was the homecoming. I think that's what this picture was from. And so back then it was all about like the colored tights and all that. So this is my black hair, going in. So then it must have been soon after, because I know it was like right when I first went to school, I decided that I wanted to go blonde. Horrible. I was okay. There are some people that are born with dark hair that can go blonde and they look fantastic. I am not one of them. Now granted, I went to the local beauty parlor, as my mom would have called it, and asked them to bleach my hair, and I'm not 100% sure that they knew what they were doing, because my roots were white, and then it went various shades of yellow down to kind of an orangey bottom there. My friend at school called me pisshead. The whole 2 weeks I waited until I could color it again. I was pisshead. And even then that was oh yeah, that was a time. Last week on the show I was talking about remembering a photo that I had of me when I was anorexic at school, and my hair was growing back in like an orangey color. And so that's there. You can see the roots were coming in. I had colored it black, and then the roots, like, it was like bright orange. The photo does not do it justice, but this is my rockin' dorm room. But I was so tiny, like my waist, there was like nothing to me. And I've definitely gotten over that part of my life now, which, if you are ever struggling with an eating disorder, please get help. It's not a joke. Um, it's a really hard thing to struggle with, and there is help out there. So if you are dealing with anorexia, with bulimia, with any type of eating disorder, body dysmorphia, I deal with body dysmorphia, so there are things that can help. So yeah, that was that. And then my Ren and Stimpy shirt, rocking that with the blonde. I like how I still have the same volume. Like my hair is still big like that, which I love. It's much better than the alternative, but rocking it blonde was something. So this, again, the photos don't really show the brightness and all, because this was you can see the green, and then there was like purple in it as well. This is at a Cracker Barrel. You can see the game there. This was back when Cracker Barrel had pulled pork barbecue, and they don't anymore, so no reason to go there. Oh yeah, here's again, not sure what I was doing. Another black-haired photo back in the day with the black hair. And this is another before. You can kind of see the greens going on. There's a little bit of red poking through, but there was purple in there too, which is not showing up in the photograph. This is the before photo from when I got all of my hair chopped off. This is just a random photo that's in here, so I figured I'd show you guys that one too. This was in my brother's apartment, and his might have just been his girlfriend at the time, was a hairdresser, and that's the after. I mean, it looks, I keep pointing with the mouse like you guys could see. This was the directly after, And then this was when I was back in Kentucky. So this was like a little more styling. There is more hair there than I remember. And I don't know why I didn't tell her to just chop off that little tail sticking out, like that duck butt sticking out of the back of my head. The outfit, I don't know. I don't know. I was in this like velvet and flannel phase. So like anything I could find that was velvet or velour, like fuzzy, I would buy it, I would wear it. I had leggings, I had bodysuits, I had that thing that I was wearing that's like kind of like a long vest. I don't even put it in the comments if you know what that's even called. It's just this long ass, can't really see it there. Where's the other picture? See, it's like not quite ankle length, but it's not a dress because all this front john under the buttons was open, so it's not a dress. I don't know what it was, but I had this skull bodysuit that I absolutely adored. And then that is when my tattoo was new. See how I had that little tattoo? And I'm not going to say my friend's name because I forgot to smiley face her. So we're just going to pretend that I smiley face her. So yeah, I was rocking the short hair after that. I thought I had another picture of it. Oh, here we go. It's kind of giving me Lisa Rinna vibes now. But it's still like a reddish, I'm not sure what color that is. But yeah, so be careful when you're coloring your hair because if you do the at-home thing too much, it's just all going to fall out. That's what happened to me. It just broke off in chunks. I had giant patches of hair that had fallen. It was horrible. So it took a little bit of time, but this was March of 94. I put this picture in here because this is in Alexandria, Kentucky, which is right over the border from Cincinnati. And I know I have some listeners from Cincinnati. So I had to put the time I went to Cincinnati picture in there. But there was a big snowstorm in 94. And in southeastern Kentucky, they did not know what to do with that. So we drove up to Alexandria thinking it wasn't going to be a big deal and got snowed in. It was a big, big snowstorm. And we had the best time because that was the girl in the middle. That was her boyfriend's house. And her boyfriend's older brother was a cutie. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It was a fun time being snowed in. So then we went back to, well, actually, here's another short-haired picture of me, and that's my mom. And I don't know if she would have wanted to be on my podcast, so I gave her a smiley face, but she was the sweetest woman. She gave the best hug. She'd go, yeah, when she gave you a hug, because she gave you a big, big hug. So I miss her very much. But when we went back to school, it was shenanigans. That's me with a Boone's Farm bottle. And this was the local motel across from the college motel, funny enough, where you could get a room for cheap and hang out with your friends because we had the girls' dorm and we had the boys' dorm. And you could have visitors over, I believe, from 5 to 7 with the door open. So that was like the only time you can hang out with your guys' friends. And like, it was a dry county. So shh, don't tell about the Boone's Farm in 1993 or 94. So that was fun. That was a fun time. It's starting to grow back in this picture. So that's pretty cool. Now we're getting kind of out of order because this is my BFF that moved to New Zealand. And I'm putting this picture in because A, it's ridiculous, but my hair was kind of like, there was still a little bit of blonde in the very front. And I could not recreate that face if I wanted to. So I just was putting that in because it's a ridiculous one of me. But I went to LA to visit her, and this was at her apartment. And we had so much fun. This was when we went to the AVN Awards in 2000. And that was a great time. And this is her college graduation. That was I kind of look like a Reese cup. So I'm going out of order here because college graduation would have been 97 and AVN Awards were 2000. So out of order, but I would love to recreate my hair like this because for some reason I really like the stripes in the front. I thought it was pretty cool. And I did that for a while. I had like the blonde going on in the front. And this is another one from that photo shoot. That was my cat Jerry. So that's like bad kitty. But when we were doing a photo shoot in the condo, that's what that picture is from. And that was with those pictures were with Marissa, who is the other main character of my book, because we were definitely like up to shenanigans back then. And the blonde pictures, the blonde in the front, like I said, this was 97. So I had been dancing since the fall of 95. And Marissa and I worked at a couple, I think at that point we had only still worked at this place, which I refer to as Sun Singers in my book. And there's another corded phone. I have a corded phone topic going here. But she and I went and got photos taken. I absolutely love this picture. By it was a coworker of a friend, and he wound up to be like this total douche canoe. And he took pictures, and like this one, I think looks like a 1970s shampoo commercial. Like you can see I got the kind of blonde and brown going on there, and this one was obviously the same shoot, but it was a black and white, or I'm sorry, it was a color, and then I made it the black and white with the rose petals because when I figured out how to do that initially, I was doing that to all of my pictures, but I think that one came out really cool. But there were other pictures that he took as well, like this one with the cleverly placed smiley face. There's that skull bodysuit. Telling you, I love that thing. Um, and then there were even more pictures with less than that. They were very artistic. It wasn't, but I decided I didn't want him having those pictures. We didn't sign a contract. We didn't do anything like that. So somehow I finagled it that I was going to go pick up the photos from the photo developer. It was like an art studio, so they actually developed photos like that. It wasn't like your CVS. So I go there and I pick up the pictures and I get all the negatives and I never gave them to him. So I was just like, yeah, no, you don't get to keep them. So I have all of those pictures. But I had to put the cleverly placed smiley face. Oh my goodness. That was the first version of that butterfly. It's a lot bigger now. I've had it redone a couple times. Um, but yeah, it was a fun photo shoot. And Marissa and I had a lot of fun together. And then there's a bunch of random dancing photos again in the photo album. But back, this was probably 96, long time ago. And this was, I've shared this before, the magazine, the local magazine that would feature the dancers and how we would look to see if we got it a mention. So I got Best Smile in one of them, which, was exciting back then. So can't see my hair really because it's a black and white, but it looks like it was back to being dark. I don't see the blonde highlights there. And you can tell I started plucking the eyebrows, getting the eyebrows waxed there. That's what I love seeing the older pictures because I'm like, hey, there's eyebrows in that picture. Hey, I don't have them anymore. I have parentheses where my eyebrows used to be. So as I evolved, so did my eyebrows. So then came, we're going to get to the 2000s because this would have been 2002. Me being preggers with my oldest. Said I'm barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. And I had the light brown going on then. I was bartending because I couldn't dance like that. I'd be waddling off the stage. So she was born in 2003. And then my younger was born in 2005. I look like a baby. And then afterwards, I was struggling with sugar addiction and not really caring for myself properly. So I asked my husband at the time to get an at home pole because that was always been my favorite form of exercise. Ding ding. It's not really dinging. So I'm hoping after I have the surgery and I'm healed, I can get back to dancing because I do miss it so much. It's an amazing physical workout, but it's also like mentally, it just charges my battery. I love it. So I got it came with a stage. And at this point, I had gone from sugar addiction, not caring about myself to, gaining weight that way to the full other place. I wasn't eating at all. I was drinking way too much and everything, but this was the at home pole. So that was a lot of fun. And this is another one from that. I love this picture. But I was not in a good place mentally. I think you can tell by like the look on my face. Like there was there was a lot of issues going on upstairs, like I was not in a happy place. I was not taking good care of myself. I was taking care of my kids, and that was the thing. Like I would be up with them from like 6, until I went to work, 8, 10 at night, come home, wouldn't get to sleep until like 3, get up at 6, do it again and again and again because no matter what was going on with me, they have always been my first priority and always will be. Um, so that was like a tough time. And then that marriage, you know, we split. Here's the first picture of me and Dave. We're babies. This was back in 2008. So I was super duper thrilled to meet the love of my life. That's us. You can tell this was the first summer that I ever had a pool. Can you tell? Do I look like the tan mom from New Jersey or like I've basted myself in browning sauce? What was seriously, use sunscreen because that's out of control. But then this is just a random picture from probably about 2010. I was rocking the auburn back then, the brown with the red highlights. I think that probably suits me best. And I've lost even more eyebrows in that picture. And then, yay, our wedding day, 2018. And I loved my hair being back like that and that. So then I just have some random, like, kind of milestone things. I met Weird Al. I love him. I met Bruce Campbell. He called me a vile woman. This is back in the 90s when I met Tori Amos, and I still love the flannel over the tank top look. Now it's a hoodie, but I think I was rocking that for sure. This was definitely a milestone. This was when my book was first published, and I was so excited. And so now the evolution has been completed with militia, militia and necrosis. I had to throw my buddy Johnny in here too. So that is the evolution of Syd's hair as was requested. And I did want to also share the photo of me and my big brother now. If you remember the beginning, I shared me and my big brother in 1975. And then me and my big brother in 2025. And you can see the grays on me coming in, and you can see what it would look like if I let it come in on him. So I wish he had his hair down. He has like butt length hair, like real thick, beautiful hair, but he always wears it back in a ponytail, like a braid. So that was fun. That was a fun walk down memory lane there and just seeing the different stuff. I know I have more photos, but like I said, they're in a box somewhere of like the really, really red. I couldn't find a photo of that and different like in betweeners because that's short. That's why I got the tattoo on the back of my neck because I don't ever want it that short again. I've thought about shaving like a side, but I'm afraid of how it'll grow back in. It might grow back in all gray and like super curly. So I'm a little scared. I do want to get the braids on one side, and then that would like give me the same kind of look without the commitment. That's an idea. But yes, that is the evolution of Sydnee from little bitty baby to 50, where I am now. And I'm happy to be here. There was a time in my life that I never thought I'd see 50. And now I'm really hoping I get another 50 because there's so much I want to do. There's so many things I want to accomplish. And I just need to get through this and recover, and then I can get back to work because I'm right handed, and having a right arm and hand that doesn't want to work all the time sucks. I have art I want to create, and if I can't hold the pen or the marker or whatever, it's really frustrating. So I am looking forward to and very excited to get all of that movement back. And I'm being very positive. I am scared, but I'm being very positive. So by the time you guys watch this, it will be in the rearview mirror. I'll be back home. I'll be power watching Drag Race, or like whatever other things are on my watch list. Feel free to put suggestions in the comments of movies, TV shows, stuff like that that I can watch while I am recouping. I only have 2 days of sick leave at the moment, so I probably will be working Wednesday, but I know I'm going to be intubated, so I don't know if I'm going to have like a rough voice, which is why I wanted to record this now. So I appreciate everybody who is hopping on and checking this out. I miss you guys this week. I love you all so much. Definitely check out everybody's stuff. I want to create the directory, like I said, so everyone can follow each other. But I have in here, I have this is my buddy Johnny's link tree. This will take you to Frozen Dead Comics, to Horror Adorables, to Fantastic Creations, to I'm missing one. Click on it and you'll find out. And then you can go to the Red Huntress series. They have a bit.ly, and I am in episode 2. So you can check that out. I have super cool posters I'll be selling on my website. So definitely check out the Red Huntress series on YouTube. And yes, there is Killer Cox is in production. I am hoping that I am still able to have a little part in that. I was going to film it and did not find a location, and now I have to wait until I'm all better. But definitely check out Killer Cox just when you thought it was safe to go back to the coop. Curse of the Ghostwriter, that's the other thing I was thinking of with Johnny. Absolutely Amityville Pool Toy Massacre. Check that out. Monsters Anonymous is a new one that I have just learned about and ordered the DVD. So check that out. I'm looking on my Facebook right now. I have so many creative friends. If you are in, yes, Monsters Anonymous, I wanted to make sure that I said that correctly. If you are in the Pocono area, Mountain Wizard Tattoo, go see Slink Skull. She does amazing work. I've gotten a couple from her, and I cannot wait to get back and get more. Let's see, The Legend of Bloody Bones is in production, and I'm forgetting some. I know I'm forgetting some, but forgive me. I have a brain full. Put it in the comments. We want to make a directory, and that way everybody can find each other. So until the next time that we meet, remember you can get your copy of Learn and Go-Go, as in everything I need to know I learned in Go-Go. I should have just named this book Learn and Go-Go. It's got too big of a title. Everything I need to know I learned in Go-Go, how a preacher's daughter pole danced her way to finding her true self. You can get that at learnedingogo.com. Please check out my daily positive affirmations. They are on my Learned and Go-Go Instagram and Facebook pages. And also check out past recordings of this program and all things Syd. You can do that by going to my link tree, which is just Sydnee A. And when life is coming at you and things seem really hard, you have to just take them head on. When you stick your head in the sand, you think you're hiding from the world, but everybody else just sees a big ass. Love ya.